Hello everyone, hope you all are doing well. Welcome to Diplomats Desk. I am your host Meet Shah. Imagine this: in one part of the world, diplomats are sitting in UN conference room arguing over commas in a document about responsible behavior in cyberspace. At the very same time, on a hidden server, routed through multiple countries, an AI chatbot with no ethical limits is helping a criminal gang craft perfect phishing emails, write malware, and launder millions in cryptocurrency, some of which may end up funding states' weapons program. That gap between what states say in public and what actually happens in the shadows of the dark web powered by AI is where a new kind of diplomacy is being born. Let's talk about AI and dark web diplomacy, like a diplomat who also writes code. Now, first let's get our terms straight. Artificial intelligence is here not just sci-fi robots. We are talking about generating AI models that can write text, code, fake images and voices. Machine learning systems that can analyze huge numbers and huge volumes of data, spot patterns and make predictions. And the dark web is the part of internet that is not indexed by normal search engines, usually accessed via special softwares like Tor. It hosts market forums and services where you can buy stolen data, malware, fake IDs, or hire hackers, all under strong anonymity. Used together, AI plus dark web become a force multiplier. Criminals and even state-linked hackers used AI to scale attacks. Government and companies use AI to monitor the dark web, map threat actors, and gather intelligence. And then comes diplomacy. The efforts by states to set rules, build alliances, and negotiate red lines for how technologies are used or abused across borders. Now, talk about how AI is turning the dark web into crime as a service marketplace. Over the last couple of years, threat intel firms and law enforcement agencies have noticed a sharp spike in AI tools being sold and discussed on dark web forums. One 2025 analysis found a 200% increase in mentions of malicious AI tools on cybercrime forums in 2024 alone. These are not just scripts, we are talking about full blown AI as a service products. You may have heard names like WormGPT and FraudGPT. These are malicious chatbots advertised in underground markets, essentially jailbroken or custom trained language models with no safety filters. They are marketed to criminals as tools that can write phishing emails, craft scams, generate malware snippets, or analyze stolen data. Security researchers also report tools like DarkBERT, a model trained on dark web data to better understand underground slang and forums, which can be used for both security research and potentially abuse. This is the where dark web changes. In the old days, you needed serious technical skills to be a cyber criminal. With AI tools on underground markets, you mostly need a credit card and bad intentions. Europol and other agencies now warn that generative AI is lowering the barrier to entry for digital crime, making it easier for organized crime groups to run large scale fraud, identity theft, and extortion. And this is no longer just about individuals, it is increasingly tied to state interests. Now, let's talk about one of the clearest and most disturbing example, state-backed crypto heist. Investigation by the FBI and threat researchers have linked North Korea's Lazarus group to the largest crypto heist in history, around $1.5 billion stolen from the Bybit exchange in 2025. Other reports estimate that the North Korea-linked groups laundered hundreds of millions of dollars in crypto between 2022 and 2023, using mixers, cross-chain swaps, over-the-counter brokers, dark web infrastructures to obscure the money trail. Why does this matter for diplomacy? Because these stolen funds are believed to support North Korea's nuclear and missiles program, helping the regime bypass sanctions. So, on the surface, you have diplomats arguing about sanctions and peace talks. Underneath, you have AI enabled cyber operations on the dark web, quietly generating revenue for the very weapons programs those sanctions are trying to constrain. That's dark web diplomacy in action, whether anyone calls it that or not. And it's not just North Korea. Reports highlight that over 70% of global cyber incidents targeting critical infrastructure in 2022 were attributed to state-sponsored actors, many using dark web forums and markets to source, tool, and trade stolen data. Western agencies have recently warned about Chinese linked groups using sophisticated malware to maintain long term access in critical systems, raising concerns about potential sabotage in a future crisis. Sometimes these operations are run directly by the state units, sometimes by patriotic hackers or proxy groups that blur the line between criminal and state actor. In diplomatic language, this is plausible deniability. In plain language, it is we get the benefits, but good luck proving it was us. So, AI is not only for the attackers. How states and companies use AI against dark web threats, let's know this. It's important to balance the picture. The same AI that powers criminal tools also power defense and intelligence. Security team now use AI to crawl and index dark web forums at a scale, translate and understand coded criminal slang, track the movement of stolen credentials and data, detect emerging malware families and ransomware groups much earlier. Threat reports describe AI models that monitor millions of dark web posts, flag new mentions of exploits, 0 days, and leaked databases, build profiles of threat actors and their relationships. For government, this becomes an intelligence goldmine. You can map which groups are collaborating, see where tools are being bought and sold, infer where a criminal ecosystem looks suspiciously aligned with a particular country's interests. That intelligence then feeds back into the diplomacy. Used in quite demarche, we know what your people are doing, and here's why this needs to stop. Used in sanctions decisions against individual groups or exchanges that facilitate laundering. Used in alliances, for example, intelligence sharing between like minded democracies. Now, from Geneva to the darknet, how diplomacy is trying to catch up. So, what does diplomacy actually look like in this space? At the United Nations, states have spent years negotiating how international law applies to the cyberspace. The Open Ended Working Group (OEWG) has now led to the agreement on a new global mechanism, a permanent body for a regular dialogue on cybersecurity and state behavior in cyberspace. This mechanism discusses threats, norms, international law, and capacity building. Is supposed to help states build common ground on what is acceptable and unacceptable behavior using ICTs, including AI-driven operations. But here's the problem: most of the diplomatic language is still quite generic. States should not attack critical infrastructure, states should exercise restraints, etc. It does not yet fully grapple with AI models being bought and sold on the dark web, criminal tools that can be rented as a service, blurred lines between criminal and state-sponsored operations. So we have a growing gap. On paper, increasingly sophisticated diplomatic frameworks. In practice, rapidly evolving AI-driven dark web ecosystem that don't care about Geneva wording. Now, let's talk about the major economies. Who's doing what? US, European Union, China, Russia, India. Let's zoom into major players and then come to India. United States and European Union. Europol's 2025 threat assessment warns clearly AI is reshaping organized crime, enabling multilingual scam, deepfake-based fraud, and sophisticated online abuse at a scale. The US and EU are investing in AI-driven threat detection. Cyber commands with their militaries, new rules around AI safety, data, and platform responsibilities. For them, diplomacy means pushing for global norms, coordinating sanctions against cyber criminals and enablers, building coalitions of trusted partners for tech supply chains and cyber defense. Now let's talk about the China and Russia. China publicly rejects many Western's accusations but is frequently linked by Western agencies to the large scale espionage and long term access operations in critical networks. Russia, meanwhile, is not just a cyber player, it's actively exporting tech influence. Report describes that Russian efforts to build tech cooperation with countries like India, promoting sovereign technology stacks, including cybersecurity tools and infrastructure. Analysts warn such deals can create dependencies and potential backdoors, giving Moscow more leverage in the long term. Both countries advocate a vision of cyber sovereignty. Each state controls its information space, less Western influence over internet governance and AI norms. Their dark web and AI posture is tightly interwoven with that worldview. And now let's talk about India. India is in a fascinating place because it's one of the world's largest economies and rising digital power. India is shaping its own cyber statecraft, balancing security growth and strategic autonomy. Analyst describes as India as a pursuing digital sovereignty, looking to reduce dependence on foreign AI and digital infrastructure, and exploring ideas like a national AI stack tailored to its own needs. On security front, India faces real threats, cross-border terrorism, regional rivalries, and increasing cyber operations in neighborhood. Its cybersecurity strategy is now forced to adapt to AI-powered espionage, automated attacks, and dark web markets that may host data or tools targeting Indian organizations. At the same time, public debates in India show a tension. On one side, strong moves on cyber safety and control, for example, pushes for mandatory cybersecurity apps or monitoring tools. On the other side, privacy and civil liberties concerns, as seen in backlash over mandates like Sanchar Sathi app being pre-installed on all smartphones, a decision the government eventually reversed after criticism. Diplomatically, India sits in a forums like United Nations and OEWG, engages in the Quad with the US, Japan, and Australia on cyber and tech, maintain historic ties with Russia while also partnering with Western economies and carefully navigating relations with China. That makes India a potential bridge builder in AI and dark web diplomacy. Too big to ignore, not fully aligned with any one bloc, deeply invested in both technological development and strategic autonomy. Now, the hidden agendas, deepfakes, and AI-enabled psychological operations. Another angle where AI, dark web, and diplomacy collide is information warfare. Recent years have seen a surge in deepfake technology and synthetic media used for fraud, blackmail, and political manipulations. Europol and other agencies warn of serious risks, including sexual extortion and political destabilizations. The FBI and others now warn about AI-generated virtual kidnapping scams where criminal uses AI to fake loved one's voice or image to demand ransom. Many of these techniques spread through are refined in dark web communities and in the hands of state-linked actors. They can become tools of psychological operations, targeting diaspora communities, influencing elections, undermining trust in institutions and media. Diplomats now have to negotiate not only over bombs, borders, and tariffs, but over deepfake standards, platform responsibility, what counts as information aggression. This is a new and messy frontier. The ransomware caution AI is the new logistic layer of cyber extortion. If you are a business or a government agency, your most immediate intersection with AI plus dark web is probably ransomware. Threat reports in 2025 describe that 80% of ransomware campaigns now use AI as a part of the attack chain, from crafting phishing emails to automating code generation and evasion. Some groups openly brag about using AI for highly personalized phishing, for translating campaigns into multiple languages, for generating and testing new malware variants faster. On the dark web, ransomware gangs advertise affiliate programs, negotiate with victims, sell access to compromised networks. AI adds scale and speed to this model. Diplomatically, ransomware has become a set piece topic. The US and partners discuss it in high-level summits. Countries accuse one another of harboring or tolerating groups that attack foreign targets. Sanctions, extradition requests, and law enforcement cooperations all become part of bargaining. But again, a lot of technical reality lies in spaces diplomats never see firsthand. AI models in the cloud, tools on the dark web markets, and crypto tumblers. So, what does AI and dark web diplomacy really mean? If we step back, we can think of this in three layers. First, the technical layer. AI tools used to attack and defend dark web platforms where data tools and services are traded. Rapid innovation. Today's cutting edge exploit is tomorrow's cheap subscription. Now the intelligence layer is the second one. States and companies using AI to monitor the dark web, attribute attacks, and trace money. Quiet sharing of intel between allies and covert pressures on rivals. And the third is diplomatic layer. Negotiations at the United Nations and in regional forums about norms, laws, and capacity building. Public statements versus private understandings. We'll look at that the other way if you keep this below a certain threshold. Middle powers like India trying to shape rules while protecting their own strategic space. So dark web diplomacy is essentially the unspoken reality that what happens in hidden AI-powered networks directly shapes bargaining power, credibility, and leverage at the diplomatic table. Now, what should ordinary people and businesses take away from this? Let's end with you. If you are listening to this as a citizen, as a student, a policymaker, a business leader, here's what this all means. Cybersecurity is now geopolitics. A ransomware attack on your company or a deepfake scam against your family might not be a random. It could be entangled with global criminal networks and even state interests. AI is not neutral. It's tool that reflects the intention of whoever controls it, from Europol analysts to dark web merchants selling fraud GPT subscriptions. For countries like India, there is a window of opportunity to build domestic AI capacity and a cyber defenses, to lead in selling practical norms, not just lofty principles that recognize how AI and the dark web really work, to act as a bridge between techno democracies and cyber sovereignty powers, pushing for rules that protect citizens while preserving strategic autonomy. For everyone, awareness is the first line of defense. Being skeptical of unexpected messages or calls, especially when emotion and urgency are high, demanding better security and transparency from platforms, service providers, and government, supporting laws and norms that constrain abuse without killing innovation. If the 20th century was about nuclear diplomacy and the early internet age was about cyber diplomacy, the coming decade will be about AI and dark web diplomacy. The deals we make, the red lines we draw, and the shadows we are willing to tolerate. And in that world, the most effective diplomat is not just someone who reads briefings. It's someone who understands code, crypto wallets, AI models, and Tor exit nodes, and can still look another ambassador in the eye and say, we both know what's happening in the shadows, now what we are going to do about it. Thank you for watching this. See you in the next one. Stay safe, stay smart.